Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Budget Magic. So, starting next week, we will be exploring the brand new Hour of Devastation standard format. But this week, we're heading back to Modern for a deck I'm really excited about. We're going to play some banned in standard cards in Modern. This is a deck that probably sounds like a standard deck, mono black vehicles, but this is the Modern edition, and I've been super impressed with the power of vehicles and the power of this deck in general in Modern. This deck is super sweet. I'm super excited for it. As you can see, only $84 in the paper world, 49 ticks on Magic Online, which obviously is super cheap, especially for Modern. Just a great price for a really interesting deck. A quick reminder before we break down mono black vehicles for Modern. If you enjoy this deck and you enjoy Budget Magic in general, it would be super spectacular of you if you could take a quick second, click that subscribe button down in the corner of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So let's talk mono black vehicles, and we start off with the vehicles themselves. So Smuggler's Copter has kind of been forcing its way into the Modern format. It's just such a powerful card. Of course, banned in standard. It loots. It's a big flying threat. It's easy to crew. It's just very, very strong, and we have a lot of sweet synergies built around our Smuggler's Copter in our deck. We have things we can discard for value, we have tons of repeatable things that we can use to crew our Smuggler's Copter, so most games, this is a card we want to draw most. Probably a little stranger looking is Aethersphere Harvester, which doesn't probably strike you as a Modern card, but a 3/5 actually dodges Lightning Bolts, it dodges Fatal Push without Revolt, so it gets around some removal, and a 3/5 in the air with some incidental life gain attached is actually a pretty reasonable body. There's not a lot going on in the air in Modern, and this is a really reasonable rate for a big flyer. So these are kind of the key vehicles, actually the only vehicles in the deck. So of course, with vehicles, we gotta have some pilots. We gotta be able to crew them. So how are we crewing our vehicles? And we got a bunch of different options, but probably the two sweetest are Night Market Lookout and Painseer. So Night Market Lookout, just a 1/1 for 1, doesn't really look like much. However, it drains for 1 whenever it becomes tapped. Our opponent loses a life, we gain a life. So we can do some really neat tricks with crewing, where not only can we just crew up a Smuggler's Copter with Night Market Lookout, get in 1 extra damage with the drain ability, but we can also, let's say we can't attack with Smuggler's Copter, we can also just wait to the end of our opponent's turn, crew up our vehicle, and just get in free drain, so we can kind of win without even attacking if we have enough Night Market Lookouts in a vehicle for the crewing. Also, we have Painseer, which has Inspire, which means when it untaps it does something, which is one of the bad mobs, basically, a bad imitation of Dark Confidant. When it becomes untapped, we get to reveal the top card of our library, put it in our hand, lose life equal to its converted mana cost. So it's literally the ability of Dark Confidant, but instead of triggering every upkeep, it has to untap, which normally you'd think means attacking, and a 2/2 isn't going to be able to attack that well in Modern most of the time. However, we can do the vehicle trick. Even if we're not attacking with Painseer, we just wait till our opponent's end step, we tap it, and then on our upkeep, it untaps, we get a free card out of the deal. Our deck is super cheap, low to the ground, so we're not going to lose too much life. A great card advantage engine, and it really feels pretty close to Dark Confidant in this deck, except instead of $50 a copy, it's like 50 cents a copy. So a great budget substitute in this deck in specific. This deck just really supports what Painseer is trying to do. So the theme of the deck, apart from the vehicles, is we're basically a really recursive mono black aggro deck. So we have a lot of cheap creatures which can crew our vehicles, can also come back from our graveyard, which means if our opponent kills them, we can get them back, still have crewers for our vehicles, can also just sometimes beat decks on their own, very hard to deal with forever. Plus they give us some sweet synergy with our Smuggler's Copter because we can discard them for value. So Bloodsoaked Champion, just a 1 mana 2/1. It can't block, and that's fine. We don't really want to be blocking, we want to be attacking. And then it has Raid, so if we attack, we can get it back from our graveyard for 1 and a black. Comes back in untapped, so it can crew a vehicle immediately. And then Dreadwander, another similar effect. We can get empty-handed pretty easily. Our deck has only one card that costs more than 2 mana, and that's our Ether Sphere Harvester. So we really want to be going 1-drop on turn 1, 1-drop, 1-drop on turn 2, follow that up with our vehicles, get empty-handed, then we can get back our Dread Wanderers. The only annoying part of Dread Wanderer is it enters tapped, so we do lose some free crewing value with Dread Wanderer, but still another hard to deal with aggressive black creature. And then Scrabby's Grounger, just like in Standard, great at crewing vehicles, keeps coming back from the graveyard, giving us another threat that our opponent really just can't deal with. It just keeps coming back, you lightning bolt it comes back, you fatal push it comes back. So all these cards can win the game on their own, plus they work extremely well with our vehicle plan, crewing them up, being discarded for free to our Smuggler's Copter, just so much value there. We also have Pack Rat, which mostly takes advantage of the discard cards. Another 2-drop, another card that can just win the game on its own. If it goes unchecked, it just creates a huge board full of rats that are huge really quickly, and it gives us another way we can discard our creatures with raid, our Dread Wanderers, our Scrap Heap Scroungers for value, so we don't really got to think, oh, like, I don't really want to discard this card. A lot of times we're actually more than happy to discard a lot of our stuff because we can still just get it back from the graveyard. As far as the non-creatures, or non-threats, I guess, because vehicles aren't technically creatures, the non-threats in our deck, we have Inquisition of Kozilek, picks apart our opponent's hand, just a black staple for Modern. If you're playing black, you should probably play it. Finally cheap enough for budget decks, thanks to a couple of reprintings. And then Dismember as our removal spell for a couple of reasons. Dismember's not as good as Fatal Push in general, but our deck doesn't have any fetches, which makes Fatal Push a lot worse. Dismember is also a lot cheaper than Fatal Push, and it does hit a couple more things. Eldrazi-tron, really popular. Dismember hits Reality Smasher, Fatal Push doesn't. And since we don't have fetches to trigger Revolt, it's a little risky to rely on Fatal Push as our primary removal spell. Mana base, pretty straightforward. 20 swamps. I crunched the numbers. This seems to be the correct number if we want to have a reasonable chance of having our third land drop on turn 3. I think it's like 64% of the time, which I'm perfectly fine with. We would rather have 2 to 3 lands than 3+ lands, because our only 3-drop is the Ether Sphere Harvester, and while it's great, it's not 100% necessary to play it right away. As far as the sideboard, Duress for combo decks primarily, also control decks, just to pick apart our opponent's hand. Pithing Needle, Ratchet Bomb, and Victim of Night give us a bit more removal. Pithing Needle for the graveyard. Ratchet Bomb is mostly because our deck would really struggle with Lingering Souls. Lingering Souls just blocks so much of our stuff, and we really want to be aggressive. While we have some sweet recursion that can kind of let us go long, our best games are the ones where you just have like 6 power on the board on turn 2, get in a bunch of early damage, and back that up with our big flying vehicles to get in those last points of damage and finish the game. Victim of Night, another good removal spell for bigger creatures if we need additional removal. Relic of Progenitus for graveyard-based decks, Snapcaster-based decks. And then Reign of Tears is basically our budget version of Fulminator Mage to give us a chance against Tron. And that is mono black vehicles for Modern, and that's our budget Magic deck for this week. So I have to say, I am super impressed with this deck. All around, there's a lot of sweet synergies. Inquisition and Dismember give us some really powerful spells, but the big thing is the vehicles are very strong. I've been very, very impressed with both of them. Smuggler's Copter obviously is probably the best of the two, but even Ether Sphere Harvester is super good, but the deck just fits together really nicely. So if you like aggressive decks with a twist, you like beating down, also being a little bit tricky, looting away some stuff you don't want, using your graveyard, I think you're gonna like this one. So anyway, enough of me rambling. Let's get to the video so you can see how it works. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, take a second and click that like button down below. It's a great way to help support the channel for free. And you can find the next video in the playlist right here.